What's going on, everyone? It's Ben from YGO from Zero, back with another Critter format video. And in this video, I'm going to show off a duel where I'm playing Masked Control with a bit more experience in the format. So I tried playing Masked Control in my very first Critter format duel, and it didn't really go well. I think this deck sort of takes some knowledge of the format and how to play in it to actually do well. So this time around, I think I've got a better grasp on how to play the deck. So we'll see if that helps me in the games that I'm going to show off today. But before diving into those games, let's just dive into the deck here and talk about why each card is in here. Again, this isn't my version of the deck. This is the version that the Duelist Jazz used in one of the recent Critter tournaments. But I'm using this to sort of get my footing in the format and try it out and see how I feel about the deck. There are many different ways to play this sort of Masked Control deck. But I think this is a very, very good version of that deck. So the goal of this deck is basically to keep up on card advantage over your opponent. And one of the main ways to do that is through the use of Masked Sorcerer. Masked Sorcerer is a monster that when it inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you get to draw a card. So if you can clear your opponent's monsters away, attack in with Masked Sorcerers, get more cards in hand to be able to protect your Masked Sorcerers or clear away more of your opponent's cards, then that's generally pretty good. The deck is also playing 2 Sangan, 2 Witch of the Black Forest. Sangan can, of course, search out the Masked Sorcerers as well as a variety of other useful monsters to bring out in the deck. And Witch can also search Masked Sorcerer and pretty much everything that Sangan can except for Giant Soldier of Stone, but it can also search out beaters like Lodgin and 7-Colored Fish. Of course, these beaters are very good at getting over some of your opponent's threats and also putting on offensive pressure. And Giant Soldier of Stone is good at putting on the defensive pressure. But there are some other monsters here that have a bit more utility. For instance, Magician of Faith is great at getting back spell cards, like especially the powerful spells like Raigeki, Pot of Greed, Reborn, Dark Hole, Change of Heart, all those. Getting those back to hand and being able to use their insanely powerful effects over again. Cannon Soldier is great at getting the offensive pressure even higher and also potentially just closing out the game. If your opponent has less than 1,000 life points, you have a monster on field, summon out Cannon Soldier, activate the effect twice, and you win. And also, White Magical Hat is in here. If you think your opponent's on something like Exodia, then this is a great card to search off of the Sangan or Witch, as it can discard Exodia pieces out from your opponent's hand. For the spells, we of course have the Power 5 limited spells, Change of Heart, Dark Hole, Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed, Raigeki, all insanely good. We also have 3 Fissure to deal with our opponent's monsters. We have 2 Heavy Storm to deal with their back row. 2 Last Will, this is good against things like Trap Hole. You can summon out a Lodgin on an empty board. If they have Trap Hole for it, you can Last Will out a Masked Sorcerer or a White Magical Hat, get in for damage, pull off their powerful effects. So very good in that regard. You can also trigger this through something like Cannon Soldier if you want to, but most of the time you're saving this for like a Trap Hole. And lastly, for the spells, we have 2 Swords Revealing Light. Even though Heavy Storm is in the format, these are still great at stalling. And if you play your cards right, your opponent might not even want to Heavy Storm the sword that you have up. So pretty good card in the format, even though there is more spell and trap removal now. And then for the traps, we of course have Mirror Force, an insanely powerful card if you actually manage to pull it off. We have 3 Solemn Judgment to stop our opponent's big plays. We have 3 Trap Hole to prevent them from getting too aggressive and also clear the board a bit. And we have 3 Waboku to protect our monsters and our life points. These Waboku can also be extremely good at preventing the effects of things like Masked Sorcerer or White Magical Hat from going through. You can also chain Waboku to a Heavy Storm activation, so that's another use for this card. For the side deck, we have a couple different things we can go into. We have a bit more of a hand control package here with Jinja number 7, Robin Goblin, and Fake Trap if we want to side into that. We have card destructions for Exodia, but it can also pair well with Thunder Dragon. We have Maneater Bug if we want to remove more of our opponent's monsters. We have Jirai Gumo if we want to get more aggressive. Muka Muka if we think the game is going to go longer and we want another aggressive tool. Princess of Tsurugi if our opponent's playing a lot of back row or we just want that extra bit of burn. And Giant Soldier if we want to go a bit more defensive. And then, of course, we have just a fusion deck here. We're not going into any of these, but, you know, it's there for the mind games. And now that I've covered the deck, let's dive into the games. Okay, we've got a game against Koff 1996 here, you know, who's featured on the channel a lot in these critter format duels. So this should be a pretty fun one. And we're on mouse control, unclear what they're on, but they did win the rock, paper, scissors. So it does seem likely that they're going to go first, and they will choose to go first here. This is a pretty good hand, though. They're asking if this duel is going to go on YouTube, and it is. It's here, so very exciting. They're going to set 2 and just pass back to us. And we've got a couple options here. We could go super aggressive, summon out Mass Sorcerer, Raigeki their board, attack in to draw. Because we do have some decent protection for the Mass Sorcerer in the form of Uboku and Trap Hole. So that might actually be worth doing, even though their set could just be a Recruiter. We get some good card advantage here, and we also do have Magician of Faith in hand to get back Raigeki if we want it later. So I think that might be what we do. Also, as a note, Koff 1996 is subbed. So if you enjoy my content, be like Koff, subscribe, and also like the video. I'm at 155 subscribers the last I checked. Could have changed by the time this video goes up. So this means that we did meet the goal that I had of getting 150 subscribers in October, which I think is really awesome. I think it'd be even cooler if we managed to get up to 200 this month, just going by these 50 increments. But 200 would be really cool. So definitely if you enjoy this sort of stuff, subscribe. I'm going to have a lot more critter format games on the channel in the future, so look out for those. I'm going to summon out Mass Sorcerer here, and we are just going to Raigeki their board. They do get a monster to hand, but we are able to attack in with the Sorcerer. But they have Uboku. That's unfortunate. We're just going to set 1, pass back to them. The reason we don't set 2 is because that's just, you know, that's tempting heavy, right? Like, if you have 2 back row and your opponent is heavy, they're going to heavy because it's just too tempting not to. So we just set the Trap Hole, as that should be enough. If they do want to heavy the Trap Hole here, go 1 for 1, and then just attack over the Mass Sorcerer, then that could be pretty bad for us, but I think this is okay. I don't think they're likely to heavy. They're going to bring out Witch. We are just going to Trap Hole it. They do get a Search, unfortunately, but we will be able to get to attack in next. Oh, or not. Okay, they're just going to Dark Hole our Mass Sorcerer. Honestly, I'm okay with that. We do have Reborn to bring back the Mass Sorcerer if we want to, and we are going to Reborn. So we're going to Reborn back Mass Sorcerer and attack in for 9. We draw, which is pretty good. We're going to set the Witch. I think we could have set Magician of Faith here to get back Raigeki to clear the board to attack in again. I think that might have been better. Because, you know, they've only got 1 board clear left in deck, which is Raigeki. So it's not the most likely that they're going to Raigeki this. And we do have Solemn, so we could set Solemn just in case. Yeah, I think this is a bit of a misplay, but we do it anyways, and we set Uboku. They'll set 2 pass. Heavy Storm is okay here. I mean, we don't really want to use the... We don't want to lose the Uboku. Yeah, we're just going to switch Mass Sorcerer to defense because we're not quite sure what that card is, and pass back to them. They're going to bring out Cannon Soldier. They're going to Last Will, so this is kind of rough for us here. They're going to Cannon Soldier away that Sangan, add a Witch to hand, and we take 500 from that, which will happen shortly. Or I guess we forgot, but we'll do it eventually. They attack over the Witch, so we do get a Lodge in here. Yeah, okay, there we go. There's the 500. So you get a Lodge in here. This can attack over Cannon Soldier, can attack over Mass Sorcerer. So it's not bad. Another Mass Sorcerer's okay. We got to think here. Do we use the Heavy now just to clear the way for our Lodgin to get in? Yeah, it's debatable. We'd lose the Uboku, which is kind of unfortunate, but We do have Solemn in hand, so it's not like we'd be defenseless. We don't go for the heavy, and we get kind of punished for it there. I think we should have just heavied. They're going to bring out a Lodgin and switch everything to attack. We are just going to Waboku this, and they have Solemns. That's going to be really unfortunate for us. They will get to draw off that, and yeah, this is rough. We do have Fisher, which isn't the worst, but this is very unfortunate. We set heavy, which I think is a bit of a mistake. I think we should set solemn because something like Raigeki or Change of Heart is really bad for us. We really want this Magician to go off so we can get back Raigeki. They're going to bring out Witch, and they're going to Last Will here. Uh-oh, that doesn't seem good. They're going to attack into Magician of Faith. We're going to get back Raigeki. They're going to attack for a bunch. And they're going to tribute off the Witch. Bring out another Cannon Soldier, it looks like. Oh, they're searching the Cannon Soldier with the Witch. They're going to bring out a Harpy Lady with the Last Will. Okay, so it looks like they're on Harpies, which is interesting. And they're going to Elegant Egotist to get out a Harpy Lady's Sisters from deck. Okay. This is pretty bad because they've got 2,000 damage on board. But, oh, yep, that's Monster Reborn. Enables them to get the last bit of damage off that Cannon Soldier. And that is the end of the game. Man, Harpy Lady's doing better than I thought, you know. Maybe Harpy Burn is the way to play Harpy Ladies in this format. I don't know. That was a pretty good game, though. It's always fun. You know, even if we lost, it's fun to see, like, a jank deck popping off. So, I'm not too upset about that, even though I do think we misplayed in some major ways here. Let's hope that we can shore up our gameplay in Game 2 and do a bit better here. So, we are going to go first here. This hand is... Oh, okay, that makes it a bit better. We don't really have any traps or anything, but we'll just set the Masked Sorcerer, set a heavy, and pass back to them. If they attack over the Masked Sorcerer, that's kind of unfortunate, but it's not the worst. And hopefully this set heavy will bait them into setting a bunch of back row so we can heavy it away. They're just going to set one back row, set a monster, pass back to us. We're going to bring out Lodgin. That does get Trap Hold, but we are going to Last Will here. And we need to think about what exactly we want to get. We're going to get a Cannon Soldier. And here we could actually flip up Masked Sorcerer, Change of Heart their set, and just get in for a ton of damage. Then Cannon Soldier away their set monster if it's something like Sangan or Witch. I think that would actually be a really good play here. Unfortunately, I don't think... Yeah, we don't do it. We just attack in with Cannon Soldier. And we get majorly punished. If we had Change of Hearted here, that would have been insane, because we would have been able to draw 2 cards off the Masked Sorcerers, gotten rid of the Masked Sorcerer with the Cannon Soldier, which would have been a really huge swing. Unfortunately, hindsight's 2020, and we just weren't able to do it there. They're going to bring out the Cannon Soldier of their own, Change of Heart our Cannon Soldier, and they will just attack in like this. I think they're afraid of Mirror Force, which is why they attempt to switch their Cannon Soldier to defense. We're going to, you know, think about it. We don't have anything to think about because we can't do anything here, but this could potentially bluff that we do actually have Mirror Force. And yeah, unfortunately, we will lose our Cannon Soldier. Real rough, but nothing we can do about that. We're going to Heavy Storm away their card. We're going to switch their Masked Sorcerer to attack into the Cannon Soldier. This is to deprive them of actually being able to use the Masked Sorcerer effect. Kind of unfortunate that we have to take damage there, but we can set Magician of Faith, set a trap hole, pass back to them. Magician of Faith can allow us to get back a good spell, so we are able to get back the Change of Heart here. This is great because we can Change of Heart their Cannon Soldier, tribute it off to its own effect, and clear it that way. And it looks like they're just going to pass. Ooh, that's insanely good. White Magical Hat is great here. We'll be able to discard a card from their hand. Hopefully we hit a good one. Not the best. Harpy Lady's Sisters can't be normal summoned or set, so it's just kind of a brick in the hand. So not the best hit we could have hit there, but, you know, I'm happy with it. We managed to get a card out of their hand. We've got a trap hole to protect our white magical hat here. So we're feeling pretty good about this. They're just going to set one pass back to us. We're just going to set one pass back to them. They're going to set one, summon out Login. We will trap hole that Login. And they'll pass back to us. 7-colored fish is pretty great. We can try attacking into their set. Unfortunately, they will Solemn Judgment the 7-colored fish. So that indicates that their set monster does have more than 1,000 defense. Or otherwise, they wouldn't care about us summoning a bigger monster. It could also just be that they don't want us to actually be able to attack in with White Magical Hat. And if we just attack with the White Magical Hat here, then we won't be able to hit the last card out of their hand. So, but I have the read that defense position monster is over 1,000 defense. So I'm just going to set one pass back to them. They're going to flip up Cannon Soldier, and they're just going to attack into the White Magical Hat. And we will take 4 there. They're going to pass back to us. And we have a couple interesting options here. We can just flip up the Witch, activate Last Will, attack Witch into Cannon Soldier. We have used up our Cannon Soldier, unfortunately, so we won't be able to Last Will out another Cannon Soldier. But we can Last Will out like a Giant Soldier of Stone to put in defense. The Witch will enable us to get a beater to hand, and we do have a trap hole for if they want to make an aggressive push. So I think that might be what we do here. We think about it for a bit, and we will just do this play. Flip up the Witch, attack in to the Cannon Soldier, add Lodge into hand with the Witch. Oh, and we're going to get the Mass Sorcerer in defense. I think this is a good play because Mass Sorcerer does defend against Cannon Soldier adequately. And if they bring out a monster that can beat over Mass Sorcerer, we do have the trap hole. So we're going to set the trap hole, pass back to them. They're just going to Cannon Soldier off their own Cannon Soldier. Oh, okay, and then they have the Dark Hole, so that makes sense. They're going to summon out the Witch. We don't need to trap hole this because we're not at risk of dying anytime soon, and we can just attack over it next turn. We're just going to attack into their Witch. They'll take 7, search out a Harpy Lady, which means they might have Elegant Egotist, which would be pretty bad for us. They're going to, well, we're going to pass back to them. They're going to set one card, summon out Harpy Lady, and I think we do have to trap hole this. We do have another trap hole in hand if they have a beater to follow this up with later. But if they have Elegant Egotist, we can't deal with Harpy Lady's Sister right now, so we need to trap hole that away. And this is a pretty good hand. We'll attack in with Login. Unfortunately, that will die to Mirror Force, but we do have a trap hole here to protect ourselves a bit. They're just going to set one pass back to us. Seems like they don't have a monster, and we're just going to keep swords in hand. We don't really feel the need to use it yet. If they have Reborn, they get a monster on field to attack in with, but like they can't kill us with that. And if they summon another monster, we do get to trap hole it. If they have Last Will as well, then that is the end of the game, but I think we're fine doing this, and I think we are a bit rewarded here for that. We're going to bring out Witch and attack in. And we're just going to pass back to them. Again, I don't think we need to activate the swords now. It might be a mistake. Might be playing a bit too greedily, but they're going to activate Last Will here. Monster Reborn back. A Harpy Lady. And Elegant Egotist. Oh, maybe this is the punish here. Can this kill us? No, it cannot. This is 850 plus 13, so that's 2150. So we're not quite dead yet. Whew. We did get a bit punished, though, for not playing the swords. Because swords would have prevented this from really happening, but this isn't the worst. They're going to set one pass back to us. The Last Will kind of fizzles at the end here. I think it was definitely right for them to activate Last Will. Just to keep the offensive pressure going if we had a Mirror Force, but a bit unfortunate for them. Pot of Greed, great draw here. Let's see what we get. Ooh, those are pretty good. I don't think there's a way we can kill them this turn, but Monster Reborn is a great draw here. We're going to bring out a Lodgin, and we know they don't have a Mirror Force, so we can try attacking in here. They'll take 500. Unfortunately, we don't have a way to finish them off from that. So now that we've attacked over the Harpy Lady, we are able to... Oh, I guess we're reborning. That's interesting. Oh, we just win this way. Okay, yeah. Yep, reborn for Cannon Soldier does just mean the end of the game if it goes through. Okay, cool. Yeah. I guess we could have actually fissured there just to bait out like a Solemn Judgment if they had it. And then went for the reborn Cannon Soldier for game. That might have been safer, but yeah. So that's game 2. And I think that shows the power of Cannon Soldier, right? Like, Cannon Soldier can just end games. Game 1, our opponent won just using Cannon Soldier to, like, deal 2,500 damage in one turn. And game 2, we won because they just had a little bit of life points left, and we were able to reborn the Cannon Soldier and kill them. So, those were some very, very good games. So let's see how game 3 goes, because it's been an exciting set. I think Harpies has done surprisingly well. Like, I think that it may be seen as a jank deck, but, like, it's putting me through my paces here, so... they're going to go first this game, set 2, pass. And we don't have the best hand here. I guess we could Swords and then Fissure what they have, potentially. Or we could Swords and attack over it if it's something that we can hit over. I don't know, this is kind of iffy. I think, honestly, we just set a Recruiter, set maybe a Waboku or a Trap Hole, and pass back to them. And that's what we do. We set Sangan, and we set a Trap Hole. We don't really need to put on the offensive pressure here. We're just going to Trap Hole that Lodgin, and then they'll pass back. Lodgin's a pretty good draw here. We're going to sum that out, and we're just going to attack in. I think maybe we could have flipped up the Sangan, just because if they do have a Mirror Force, we get value out of it. But, like, we didn't, and they'll just Mirror Force our Lodgin. Kind of unfortunate. We're just going to set 1, pass back to them. They're going to Raigeki away our Sangan. Okay, I'm glad that I didn't flip up Sangan to attack in with now, because this is pretty great. We get to add a Mass Sorcerer to hand here. They're going to flip up a Mass Sorcerer of their own, and they're just going to attack in. We do have Waboku, so we will just use it. Prevent them from drawing a card. They're going to set 1, pass back to us, and this is great. We can... I guess we're fissuring away the Mass Sorcerer. I guess this way we can attack in with our own, draw a card, and that's pretty good. We're just going to Swords of Revealing Light because we want to protect the Mass Sorcerer if we can. They're going to set 2, pass back to us. Change of Heart's pretty great. We can use Change to get in a ton of damage potentially. We are going to Change of Heart. They're going to Solemn Judgment that. Wow. Okay. I mean, we're not too torn up about that. They lost half their life points, so we're just going to go to battle, attack in. I think maybe this is a bit greedy because of its Mass Sorcerer. Then they do get to draw here. Yeah, I think this is just a bit greedy. But, you know, it doesn't punish us. It's just Giant Soldier of Stone. So we'll take 900, but overall it's not the worst. We're going to switch Mass Sorcerer to defense if they do clear our swords, but... They're going to set 1, pass back to us. And Magician of Faith is a pretty good draw. And we can feel somewhat comfortable setting it, given that they have used up Raigeki. So if they want to use Dark Hole, we're honestly fine with that, because we do have Witch to get us a search. But I guess we're going to play it safe and just switch Witch to defense. Swords will die. And we'll set 1, pass back to them. I think maybe we are playing around Change of Heart. Because if they Change of Heart our set, then that would be really bad. Because they could get back Raigeki and just go to town. We're just going to set the Magician of Faith now. I'm not really sure why we did it now as opposed to earlier, but it's fine. We draw Solemn, which is not the worst, but we're going to activate the effective Magician of Faith, get back to hand a Fissure to clear away that Giant Soldier there. And we are just going to bring out a Lodgin, see if we can get over this. We're going to attack in, and they do have Waboku, so that's kind of unfortunate. So, it is Witch, which you know, not the worst thing to see that they have. They can attack over our Mass Sorcerer next turn, unfortunately, which is kind of rough, but not the worst thing in the world. Oh, they're attacking over Magician of Faith. Okay, this gets in a bit more damage, but we're happy about that. Magician of Faith had served its purpose. Oh, this is why, because they've got Dark Hole, so they got in a bit more damage, and now they can clear our board. So, and they do get a search off the Witch, which is pretty nice for them. They haven't normal summoned her set yet, so yeah, we're just gonna grab Lodgin. And I think in the ordering here, it actually goes if 2 recruiters are searching on the same chain. I think it does go with the non-turn player searches first, and then the turn player searches first. This gives the turn player a slight advantage because they get to see what the other player searched. But it's not really that big of a deal. We were taking Lodgin no matter what, so they're just going to bring out Cannon Soldier here and pass back to us. Okay, that's not the worst. Trap Hole's a turn too late. We would have liked to use Trap Hole on the Cannon Soldier, but we're going to bring out Lodgin and attack in to their Cannon Soldier. We know they don't have Mirror Force, so... But they have Reinforcements. Wow. Yeah, that's pretty good. It's a card you don't see often in Critter format, but an interaction like this does show that it has its uses and can be very powerful if your opponent isn't expecting it. So we will take 100 here, and that's really bad for us. We do have the Last Will, but they've got Solemn Judgment. Oof. That's kind of rough. We have swords at least to stem the bleeding, but they've got heavy. Okay, looks like they don't have heavy. They're just going to set 2 pass back to us. We could just try and get really aggressive here. Dark Hole their Cannon Soldier away and summon out Giant Soldier. That could be pretty good. But it looks like we're not going to go for it. I think we're going to wait for if we draw like an 1800 beater instead. Just to make it a little bit better. They're going to Reinforcements, and then they are going to Heavy Storm. So we will just let that go because we're not too afraid of a 1900 beater. If they have like a Reborn, that's pretty rough. And if they bring out another monster on top of that, that's still rough. But like, I don't think they can kill us from this position. They're going to bring out another monster. So this is 3700, which is a lot of damage. But this is just a good Dark Hole target for us. Oh, I guess if they had Reborn, they could have killed us here because we likely would have dropped down below 1500 and they'd have 3 monsters on board, so they would be able to kill us that way. But this is great, the hand we have now. We're just going to Dark Hole, get rid of those, summon out Giant Soldier, and attack in. We set Waboku. I think maybe we should have set Trap Hole, but I guess Waboku has a bit of utility with Giant Soldier because if we activate Waboku, we can then switch Giant Soldier of Stone to defense next turn. But I think we would have wanted Trap Hole, just because if they bring out a beater, we can clear it and attack in for game. Oh, I guess we're setting both. Have they used up both heavies? Oh, they've only used up 1. But I guess, okay, I guess this is why we do this. So, if they've got heavy set, bravo to them. That's really good. If they don't have heavy set, then they'd have to draw heavy here to actually use it. If they do draw the heavy, they'd have to clear their own back row as well, which would just be killing them. If they have heavy set, we can chain Waboku at least to protect our monster. So it's not the worst thing in the world. So we're not really too afraid of heavy given the game state. They have Fissure though. That's kind of unfortunate. But we do have Mass Sorcerer to get in for potential game. It revealed that they only have a Reinforcement set there. So this will be the end of the game. Wow, that was a good one. Who knew Harpies could put up such a big threat? Like, this deck seemed really cool. And speaking of really cool decks, I mean, Mass Control, I think, seemed really cool as well. I think it did really well. We were able to get some really good draws off Mass Sorcerer, which really enabled us to make plays we otherwise wouldn't have. I think we did misplay a couple times, as I pointed out. But as I said, this is a very complicated deck, so misplays will happen. And even though we misplayed, we did manage to win the match, even though we lost game 1. So I think this was a really awesome set of duels. And I'm looking forward to playing a bit more with Mass Sorcerer in the future. Maybe adjusting the build a little bit, although this build is, I think, really good. So I'm going to experiment with some other ones, though, just to try out different things, like maybe adding some Muka Mukas or other stuff like that. But that's the subject of a future video. Until next time, I've been Ben from YGO from Zero, and I'm signing off.